As if I need an excuse to talk about Batman the Animated Series, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a booklet that was actually released with the Batman Animated Series DVD collection. I know, kind of weird, but check it out. Here we go. Thanks for checking out the video. My name is Bernie Gonzalez, and I am a comic book writer and artist. And in these videos, I like to share some of the comics, magazines, books, just things that I have on my shelves that have big inspirations in my ability to make comics and my storytelling. And one of those is this booklet for Batman the Animated Series. So have to go into the world of physical media here. And before Netflix, before really YouTube was a thing, I was buying a lot of these animated series on VHS and then later on DVD. And originally, Batman the Animated Series was released in 4 volumes back in 2004. And each volume had 4 to 5 DVDs. But then eventually, in 2008, this big set was released that contained all 17 different discs from the 4 individual volumes. And I had to upgrade it because not only did it have great packaging and then have all the DVDs, it also had this exclusive booklet. I've kept it along for many years, even though I've upgraded my DVDs now to Blu-ray and also to digital copies. But this is one of those booklets that was very rare for me at the time because there were not many collections, artifacts out there of Batman the Animated Series. There's a book by Chip Kidd that is amazing, Chip Kidd and Paul Dini. But this was just one of those just rare things that I had in my collection that actually featured some artwork. And you can just see right from the beginning has what seems to be this character artwork, probably used for promotions like merchandising, gift wrapped posters, shampoo, clothing, things like that. And we're talking at a time when there were WB stores where Warner Brothers would have exclusive toys and artwork in these stores. So you know that they're repurposing and creating artwork just for those specific venues. And a booklet like this has some notes there by one of the producers, Alan Burnett. It was just a treasure for me. So you see some pages here that feature not only the episode titles, but also have some character designs. The good stuff is towards the end here, so I'm going to kind of skip through some of these pages. You can see the evolution of the animated series, not only through the episodes, but also in some of the design where you get some of these attitudes, some of these turnarounds. Then eventually, as you get into later volumes, see some Harley Quinn here as well. Into the new adventures where they get rid of the yellow circle, the streamlined design feels a little bit more consistent with Superman the Animated Series that they're making at the time. Penguin looks more like Burgess Meredith from '66 Batman and a little less like Danny DeVito from Batman Returns. Joker gets these kind of dark, sunken, beady eyes. But this is what I really, really wanted to feature are some of this original artwork from the Animation Vault as they have it listed on there. So trying to think. So Batman released on September 5th, 1992. First episode was Cat in the Claw Part 1, and it was a Saturday morning, part of the Saturday morning lineup for Fox Kids. They actually released episode 2 on Unleather Wings September 6th, Sunday night, and it was in prime time at 7 p.m. Central Standard, and right before Parker Lewis Can't Lose went up against Life Goes On and 60 Minutes. So they thought that it would garner attention not just from kids, but also from an adult audience, and the tone certainly pulled that off. The legacy, the impact that the series has had, but the design work, at least for an artist like me, just had massive influence because you have this, as it's come to be called, this dark deco style that brings in a little bit of 40s pulp, film noir, kind of all put together. Adam Radomski, who worked on the animated series with a number of different talented artistic contributors like Ted Blackman, John Calumet, Richie Chavez, Russell Chong, Ronnie Del Carmen, just a few that I can remember off the top of my head. But Radomski worked on black paper instead of white paper, and you can see in some of these designs where it has that sort of charcoal graphite look, certainly inspired by Anton Furst, who was the designer on the '89 Batman movie. He created Gotham's look, where you had that Gothic architecture, the dark cityscape, the low lighting, the shadows, the ominous tall, thin columns, the arches, that German expressionism, that, also mixing in film noir, art deco. Everything feels like it's looming, like the city could just swallow you up. That's all in here. Perfect place to have seedy abandoned fun houses, circuses, warehouse districts that are probably empty because they're part of the city's past. And you have these shady nightclubs where you can only imagine the type of patrons that would go there. It just introduces a different class of citizen. You have like high society, blue collar politicians, cops, sanitation workers, construction crews that probably work all year round, as they make use of the space they have to kind of retrofit buildings and streets, accommodate new technology and building design, all without tearing down like old Gotham to build a new Gotham every day. But it's also a city that's plagued by crime. So just imagine like a working, living city constantly under attack by arsonists and mad scientists and mad bombers, and they're burning the city and blowing parts up of the cityscape. So you have municipal services putting out these fires, building right on top of those remains. So you have this old and new that looks unlike Metropolis, that looks new and modern, probably because of the influence of people like Lex Luthor, who live in mansions like this, and skyrises, who have their own agendas. But that's not Gotham. That's Gotham looks old and new at the same time. Some amazing storyboards for Unleather Wings, released on September 6, 1992. That second episode that aired in prime time, that also provided viewers with this sort of aerial tour of Gotham when Batman, using his grappling hook that was introduced in the '89 version with Tim Burton, he's holding on to Man-Bat, who's going through this construction site, incredibly beautifully animated. But then as that's happening, we get to see the blimps, Gordon, Bullock. We get to see a little bit of blood on Batman, and at a time when they had standards and practices that were limiting what the crew could show. They couldn't show strangulation, alcohol, smoking. They couldn't show certain things. Even they had a quota of blood. It felt like on this episode, almost in this scene, they used their quota of blood for the series. But it just started to set the tone for what the show was going to be about. Get into some attitudes and turnaround shots of Bruce Wayne. Gave him his own personality. The big, bulky clothing versus the more sleeker look he gets in the latter season. But I don't know, he has that sense that he could be bumbling, a bit naive, but also feels like he could be the playboy. Just a perfect design for someone that people of Gotham would imagine. This shouldn't be Batman. This doesn't look like Batman. He doesn't move like Batman. So it's a perfect identity for him. And then you have Bruce Timm's work here on these head theories for Batman. And Bruce Timm, inspired by the style of the Fleischer Superman cartoons, also inspired by Alex Toth, who made significant contributions to animation. Space Ghost, Birdman, Herculoids. He was also inspired by Jack Kirby. You can see it in places where there's that angular foreshortening style, the bold outlines, those heroic poses and proportions. You can tell he's figuring out how Batman should move. But then in some of his other designs, you can see the Archie House style comic by Dan DeCarlo that's more rounded, more open, even more humorous. You see a little bit of Chester Gould, who created Dick Tracy, Michael Golden, Marshall Rogers, Wally Wood. All of those artists are in there. Some more shots like Joker, Scarecrow, Two-Face, Gordon. You have Alfred there, and I believe that's by Mike Guggen, who did that artwork. But a little bit of everything, even Baby Doll here. There's early designs that were done by Kevin Nolan and Mike Mignola, well-known comic book artists. But again, at a time when there wasn't really a collection of this, I love this booklet because it just had a little bit here and some, kind of cropped shots, but that was enough for me. And see here kind of the lineup of Clayface, Man-Bat, Hatter, Queen, Scarecrow in that first iteration. So I love this booklet. Every once in a while, just kind of take it off the shelf and just kind of skim through it. Figured this time might as well record it, throw in a few thoughts in there. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, Batman the Animated Series, big impact on me. Its legacy, the style, the storytelling. Hopefully you've checked out a few episodes. If you haven't, I would absolutely recommend that you do. I don't think you'll be disappointed.